Perfect.
All right, we are live and so excited about our L1 Builder Spotlight today. We have Zeroone's co-founder, CEO, Ludovica, here with us to share more about what they're building and all the recent success that they've had. If you are just tuning in, we host these typically every Friday and have the opportunity to share all across the Avalanche ecosystem what people are doing, what they're building, how they're leveraging, Avalanche and AvaCloud to build and ship their product. So, without further ado, would love to pass it to you to give a quick intro on yourself and maybe Zeroone, and we'll go from there.
Thank you so much. Yes, Barry, thank you so much. Very big pleasure to be guest at your weekly Builder Spotlight. Just to give you context, my name is Ludovica. I co-founded and currently leading Zeroone. Zeroone is a platform where artists and collectors can connect directly, and basically is a concept where like culture is not only shared but owned. So we're trying to move away from the concept of like social media likes and marketplace, and moving forwards a more like aware, focused, owned, focused culture ecosystem. On Zeroone's, basically what happens is that artists can mint and share the work in one tap, and collectors on the other side can connect and build meaningful connection with artists, and at the same time they're able to kind of like begin to collect digital art and using cryptocurrencies without any technical knowledge needed. And so it's both like a social and creator first power blockchain marketplace that is designed for everybody, basically.
Amazing. Yeah, I am a huge fan. And I shared this a little bit earlier with you before we started that like my background kind of crosses over into this realm. So I totally get it. I spent a lot of time as a photographer. My wife is an oil painter and artist. And so this is totally up our alley. And I just think it's really, really incredible what you guys have built. And, you're seeing so much success, which is awesome too. Can you share a little bit about like the team and like, how did you guys land on Zeroone? How did this come to fruition? How did we end up here?
Yes, no. So the team is, I work with, we co-founded this project with Colbert Bell, who's been like huge digital art collector. He's founded like Museum of Crypto Art, very pioneer project that began in 2020. And also Renee Schmidt, who's our CTO, who has been like in crypto and blockchain, one just of the pioneers in terms of exploration and building. And of course, like Patrick and all the other people that have contributed to the project. And I think that like at the beginning, it kind of like began from a frustration of like artists creating endlessly for platforms that were rewarding only like algorithm and virality, but not actually value. And so like I come more from like the cultural side. So on the team, I'm more like the person that's more connected to like traditional art. And so I saw a bit firsthand the little ownership that like most artists were experiencing both online and in galleries. And so like there were a bit like two range. Either you were like an artist that was leveraging Instagram and TikTok, so you're valued for your algorithm and virality, but there is not monetization. Or you're one of those artists that is only leveraging like the gallery space, so you are like completely based on a system that is close-minded, that is elite, that is only for a few people. There was nothing in the middle ground. And so like, there has been like Spotify for music, YouTube for videos, but there was nothing really revolutionary for art. And so we were like, okay, we can build that. We can digitalize a world that has been for so long following the same old mechanics. We can bring something new, some innovation for artists, and at the same time also for collectors. And there was no place where like these two actually components, the social and the economical one, were living together. Not even in current current competitors. And so I think that like this is where like Zeroone really saw an opportunity.
Yeah, it's been really, really amazing to track and follow kind of the journey of your product roadmap and you guys launching, because that is such a need. I think you did a really great job explaining it too, that there's these like two pathways that you could go as an artist, and there's no like interconnected way. There's no way to land in the middle. Previously it's like you're either TikTok famous, or you're in those galleries, which have like a high barrier to entry. It's probably hard to do, not accessible to everybody. And on the TikTok side too, like you can become famous, but you also can not become famous and totally just not be able to succeed. And I think it's really, really just a great problem to solve. And again, like from that personal side, I'm like telling my wife, I'm like, you have all this amazing art that you share. You need to share it here. You need to like sign up and use Zeroone. It's so easy to do. And I think we can talk a little bit more about your product, because I went through and signed up and tried it and was just blown away at how simple it is to onboard. But before we like go into that, I would love to like talk a little bit about how and why you guys chose Avalanche, originally launching on C chain, and then made that change and shift to your own L1. I'd love to just maybe learn a little bit more about, why did you guys pick Avalanche in the first place? And then from there, like, what does that look like to transition through each one of those segments as you guys continued to build your product?
Yes, of course. Like at the beginning, we were thinking, so my other two co-founders have built on Polygon, they've built on Solana, so they kind of like knew the space already. And when we were deciding with the blockchain where we wanted to build this product, we knew two things. We knew that it had to be scalable, and we knew that it had to be cost effective, right? Because like what we were trying to build was not something for a few people, but for many people. Because I always again think that like the art word is already a word for a few people. I wanted this to be for everyone, from the most emerging artists. Like today, a 10-year-old artist joined under the supervision of the mom, of course. And then we have like the 70-year-old, the retired artist. And that was kind of like the range we wanted to like be open at least to. And so when we encountered Avalanche at the beginning, it was 2 years ago when we began building. We were like, okay, this is probably like a great platform, a great blockchain, a great technology we can begin building on for its scalability. There was not yet the concept of our L1. There was not yet the concept of like completely shifting to our own blockchain. But there was the scalable part, the cost-effective part. We were partnering with the economy. We were one of their first product to provide gasless transactions. So at the beginning, the most viral flywheel that we built was like, you can create and collect for free without even paying the gas cost. So we were effectively risk-free platform for everybody to join. And this is a very interesting concept, because sometimes we don't even think how much like even at 0.05 cents can be for someone, both on the economical side, but also on the technical side, because somehow you have to load those money on your wallet. And not everybody can do the KYC, not everybody can do the technical part. For example, there are certain countries that are more restricted toward cryptos. So removing completely the barrier really kind of like allowed us to even tap into different geographies, not only a different demographic. And then over time, of course, we've been kind of like together with our CTO, Rene, who is like devoted kind of like to this space. We were always trying to understand like what was the next step that could help us and support and leverage our vision. And as our vision was to scale, we basically like came up with Avalanche and in their whole kind of like campaign and vertical into believing that there was not only one chain, but there was like an ecosystem where multi-chain could exist. And that's when we kind of like encountered AvaCloud, and when we started to think and believe in the idea of like, okay, Zeroone should have our own L1. And being also first movers, it's tough in the ecosystem, because it's when like you have like so many problems that nobody ever solved, and implementing your own L1, and then there are like all certain concern, how do we move the like over millions NFT, 1 million NFT that was minted on C-chain. How do we treat this? How do we continue to work with the economy while we're implementing AvaCloud? You know, it was a whole moment of transition for us. It was a moment for transition for our dev team, for our technical team, for the marketing team. But what we knew is that we needed like speed, low cost, and flexibility. And that's everything like kind of like AvaCloud and our own L1 gave us. And that allowed really like to move from like 8,000 users to today like 40,000 users last week. And for example, I remember like in December of 2024, no, sorry, 3, we had inscriptions and like the C-chain gas was so high that we had to shut down the platform for like 2 weeks because you can't afford that, right? You can't afford thousands of transactions every week. And so it's just like completely a different mindset to be actually independent technical wise. And it kind of like really helped us to design and like the current mechanisms and product that we have right now.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you've been along for just the entire journey. I think when I think of like what has taken place, even in the last year, the last 3 years alone, the space has evolved so much. There's obviously so many moving pieces, both inside and outside of the Avalanche ecosystem. And then even just internally with the Avalanche ecosystem, you just nailed it. When you're building on Avalanche and you're on the C chain, those types of questions get surfaced all the time. How do you take an existing project and port over to an L1? What does that look like? What's the subnet to L1 transition going to be? All the while managing a product that's in production with actual customers and actual products across the board. Certainly not easy. And just give you guys and your team so much credit for, there's like, they say the first mover advantage, and there's sometimes like first mover disadvantage, which is that you have to troubleshoot everything and be kind of the guinea pig or the beta tester for what's happening. So it's so wonderful to hear that. And I think like the other part too, is you're so well connected with the team across the board that, Avalanche has done, they're doing what they can to support these teams and help them continue to build. And I feel like you guys at Zeroone have kind of seen it like the full dial or spectrum. Everybody has been in and around, and then you guys have an awesome team too. So you've highlighted so much there. I think the part that's like really cool is that you were on the C chain. I remember the inscription phase. It was wild times to say the least. And it's funny because I didn't know that like that would have affected your platform that drastically, where it's literally like benches you guys and you can't operate. So it's really cool to see that there's now this like product evolution as you guys have built your product and evolved and found out what your user pain points are, your product feedback, things like that, how you can improve that. At the same time, Avalanche, L1's AvaCloud, like they've been doing the same thing. So like on our end, we've worked to try to make it easier for builders to deploy and launch, and then, create this whole tooling set around it so that you can go from C chain to your L1 and make it super easy and seamless so you can scale. I'd love to dive into like you guys had the vision for gasless transactions on C chain with Biconomy. Is that how it worked? And then obviously you have that now available through the precompile and the setup through your L1. But can you talk a little bit about that? I think that's such a important point to highlight. Probably a big differentiator for you guys in the market, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because, I think that like all this kind of like came throughout like the incredible like fusion that our founding team has. So as I said, like my two other co-founders, one is on the development side, the other one is like more in between, but all from kind of like Web3. And I come from Web2, and not everybody actually knew literally how to interact with blockchain, and nobody knew how to buy crypto. And with all our competitive platform, all of the other platforms were actually, even if they're like marketing free NFTs, you still had to pay the gas, and that's still a huge limit. And when I think about, for example, countries in which is actually banned to buy crypto. I'm like, how they're going to do, how can they interact in a free space? How can they leverage contemporary technologies? So for us, it was the concept of cashless transaction was an important pillar for the value and the vision that we had of accessibility and of scale already since the beginning. And it was since day one. We were probably one of the first projects that had used Economy within Avalanche ecosystem to integrate that together with Particle that was facilitating building addresses without just with an email address. And so we kind of like we were finding ourselves in being as well like among one of the pioneers to be like completely crypto and technical abstracted.
Totally.
Issue. Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, that it's a great transition because like I said earlier, I signed up. So I wanted to like go through the process. I wanted to see what it would look like. And it is it's so simple. You don't know that you're like using a platform that's running on blockchain rails at all. And I think that part is just really great to see.
Perfect. Sorry, I thought it was blocked because I couldn't hear
No, you're good. You're
anymore.
good.
And I think that it was very interesting to see also how even since the beginning our vision was very aligned with what like Avalanche vision was of like acquisition, user onboarding, and just in general like seamless user onboarding, probably in particular.
Yeah. That's and yeah, like I said, I experienced that by signing up. I was like, this is so amazing. You guys have done so much to, abstract that all away and make it just really easy to sign up. I loved when you signed up, there was like the option to you're either like an art creator and you want to, create stuff there, or you're a collector and you can kind of go through the different pathways. All the UI UX is so clean and just makes everything. I mean, you've built just an amazing product. Can you tell us a little more? You've had like this big highlight, 40,000 users, which is awesome. Can you shed a little light on like what's the future look like, and what do artists and art collectors like? What are some of the benefits they get from participating in in the ecosystem with Zeroone? And where is it? Just an iOS app right now? Is there like a online web app too? Just maybe where they can find you.
Yes, of course. So in terms of like main benefits for artists and collector, first of all, it's recent that we kind of divided the pathways between artist and collector. The initial vision was like everybody's an artist, of course.
Oh, looks like might have froze. So we'll wait a second here and see if it can come back. We'll give it a second here and see if we can work out the technical difficulties, and we'll be back in just a second. All right, we're back. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
awesome.
Okay,
We might
cool.
run that one back real quick again, just so everybody
Yes.
can hear.
Yes. No, so basically what I was mentioning is that the first thing is that we restored like value to cultural production, making it like super empowering and not only transactional. So as an artist, you're not only captivating the value of being like on a marketplace or only a value of being a social media. You're captivating the value of building a collector base while being on social media. So your time there is actually meaningful. I always do this example. I have a very good friend of mine who is an incredible artist. She has 90,000 followers on Instagram. Last year, she posted a video on Instagram that did 23 million views on Instagram, not even TikTok, which is
Wow.
huge. And I asked her, how much did you make out of this? And she told me $0. Now I'm going to take the opposite example, an incredible emerging artist on Zeroone who didn't even have Instagram since a couple of weeks ago, straight out of college. Since 1 month that he joined Zeroone, he already made $180. And he has 80
Wow.
collectors. So our vision is, imagine if each collector is going to give you $1 to support your journey. If that number of collectors is around 1 million, that's $1 million in a lifetime, which is something that like not even all artists make in a whole lifetime, you know. And for him, he already made like $180 with 80 followers. So for us, it's more about like turning your audience into like a meaningful collector base where it's not like the quantity, but the quality and the value and the support that we're going to give you. And on the other side, of course, one of the biggest benefits of Zeroone is that we honor royalties in perpetuity, because as we also have like a secondary marketplace, we're able to control the whole flywheel of uh, of the of the artwork lifetime. And this is all thanks to having our own L1, because it's a permission ecosystem where you will have to resell your work within our ecosystem only, and we're able to honor that percentage in forever. And for the collector side, of course, we are basically like allowing collectors to build, like to explore a new kind of feed where you just don't scroll, but like you're actually curating art, you're purchasing art, you're tracking like your collection stats. So you're like buying art and joining also the contemporary art movement, which is something quite unique because you're able to build connection in every city where you go. So you're able to be up to speed on the cultural side of every part of the world you may find yourself in. And over time, we're like beginning to implement some additional for a new perspective into Zeroone. We're implementing a more like social and community building part, because our audience is very split in between like Web 2 and Web 3. So for example, not everybody has Twitter and not everybody has Instagram. So we want to start bringing in the community more and more on Zeroone and diversified type of engagement that you can have within Zeroone. And at the same time, we're looking to implement AI to really support collectors throughout their journey, throughout their desirability works, throughout like the like curation, and start to power all the collecting part with our like AI agent that we're currently training.
Wow. So many things, so many awesome things in flight. I
Yes.
am very, very excited, and I'm for sure like loading my wife's artwork on because I think that's awesome. And just the fact that that story you shared, like, yeah, the moniker of like a starving artist, like you can never make it. That's crazy that somebody got millions of views on Instagram and made nothing. Um, but
Instagram is the
awesome.
worst.
Yeah, yeah, awesome in, on the flip side of that, that there's this whole community you guys are building, and it certainly is catching wind. And I just love that like rising tide lifts all boats. Like if you're an artist, you're going to join and participate. What you said, if you have when you guys have millions of users, and probably not that far around the corner, there will be artists that absolutely it changes their life, because they're participating in the ecosystem. On top of that, I think you're like, as the world is changing and technology is changing, you guys are front running it. You're at the forefront of this like art revolution, and I think that's really really inspiring and really great work that you guys are doing. We're happy on our end to support and so proud to support with our technical tools and team. But you guys are doing all the work. You're making this amazing, amazing product. I think it would be really awesome. Oh, and like also, you guys have made amazing merch. A little tidbit for anybody listening: if you're going to Summit and you find our AvaCloud team there, which is like T minus like 19 days at this point, be sure to find them because your team and you guys have created our merch and swag that we're handing out. I think it like rises above the rest. I want to see everybody in AvaCloud merch. I've already said this on X like multiple times. So please tag us. Please tag Zeroone too, because they're the ones that have helped create. And yeah, can you talk a little bit too, or just point to like I think you shared where you guys are going, where you're at. Are there any other like fun stories or Zeroone highlights that you want to share before we close?
Yeah, sure. I think before you were mentioning about the 40,000 users, I think what's very interesting is that we did not pay one user to be on the platform. And our growth has been completely community driven. And I think what is very interesting about Zeroone is the diverse audience that is on the platform. So we literally have, first of all, we had like a year ago this very interesting virality that happened in Japan, that for like 7 months was like our second biggest user base after the United States, and none of us had ever been in Japan. Now, yes, but this was like last year, and so it was quite interesting how there was a genuine and organic ambassador kind of like network that has built itself on Zero One, because people loved the product so
We might be frozen again here, so let me see if we can get these technical difficulties worked through again real quick. All right, we're experiencing some technical difficulties, so I'm going to end our stream here, but I didn't want to leave without saying and letting you know where you can find Zeroone. So Zeroone, I'll put a banner up right here. Make sure that you're following AvaCloud. Seriously, if you're not following AvaCloud, we're so close to 5,000 followers. Would really appreciate it if you could help get the word out as we continue to grow the channel and highlight as many L1 builders as we can. On top of that, you can find Zeroone's link here. I think it's like 5 or 6 underscores, so Zeroone. But if you search it on X, you're going to find them there. They've got a ton of exciting updates coming. Be sure to download their app in the iOS store. There is just so many amazing artists on there. You can get on there, support them, buy their art, share it with us on social media, and be on the lookout for more. We've got a bunch of awesome streams coming up here in the future, and we hope to see you at Summit. Our AvaCloud team will be on site. Like I said before, there's a lot of swag and merch that you're going to want to pick up. Be sure to highlight and share it on social media. Tag us in it. We'll be sure to repost and follow along. And stay tuned for more. We've got a bunch of exciting updates coming for you guys all across the board, all across the Avalanche ecosystem, and specifically with AvaCloud. Happy Friday.